So you've woken up and your leg or your arm is missing. Chances are, if you've woken up to find one of your limbs is no longer there, it's probably because you've been involved in an accident or you've contracted a serious life-threatening disease like meningococcal. Naturally, you won't have woken up from something like a restful sleep, so to speak. Most likely, you will have been slowly brought out of a medically induced coma over the course of a few days and your amputation was to save your life. I'm Melissa from Limbs for Life. I'm an above-knee amputee and we're creating a range of videos about living with amputation, helping you to gain some better insights about understanding limb loss from a user perspective and answering some of the questions along the way that you may have.
Waking up after the amputation was a strange feeling. Strange not to be able to feel your toes, for example. And I was also still going through multiple surgeries for skin grafts. So I was going through a lot of pain through the skin grafts. They were all being done under general anaesthetic. So over a 4-week period all up, I had about 24 or 25 surgeries. So I really didn't have time to think about the amputation itself. It was dealing with that pain and waking up every day. And I basically lost all the skin on my lower half. So it's all skin graft and mainly off my back and the top of my thighs. When that finally came to an end, I was still heavily medicated, but I was coming to the realisation at what had happened to my body. And strangely enough, I was very accepting of it. I sort of didn't dwell on what had happened, but more, what can I do to basically get out of bed and get back to life.
Most likely, a next of kin has made a decision to amputate on your behalf at the point where your situation was critical. Those of us who have needed a loved one to step in and make that decision can often experience guilt that we burdened another with that decision. So in my case, my mum received a call at home at 3:30 in the morning. I was already a below-knee amputee, but infection had set in again and my life was at risk. She asked the surgeons to do whatever they had to do to save my life, and as a result, I had an above-knee amputation. Fortunately, that's what I needed in order to start my recovery and the journey back to recovery and independent living. Processing the outcome of your accident or infection takes time. For the most part, you'll likely still be feeling the effects of some heavy-duty medication, making it even more difficult to process your situation. Many won't remember the time immediately prior to the accident or when the disease actually kicked in. You most likely have felt total confusion about where you are and what actually happened. It's not unusual to rely on other people's recount of events because it's difficult sometimes to piece things together. Slowly but surely, the impact of what has happened takes place. Maybe a doctor or a nurse sat down with you to explain the length of your injuries or illnesses and the impact it had on your body. It's also not unusual during your time in hospital to have a range of surgeries, and the healing time can be a process in itself. The situation may also change or develop over time, meaning the information you receive may change over time. And then at some point, the self-talk begins. You have a range of questions and you want answers. For the most part, they'll go something like this. Will I ever be able to walk again? Will I ever be able to drive my car again? Will I be able to play with my kids like I used to? Will I be able to go back to work? How long does it all take? While most people usually want to get out of hospital, the fact remains that healing takes time and it's not a quick fix situation. Depending on how badly you were injured or how ill you were from an infection, it could take weeks, sometimes even months. I lost track of the number of surgeries I had after 22. I was in hospital for just over 3 months and it was a long and lengthy recovery. I was in a coma for just over 2 weeks and it was more than 7 weeks before I could actually start to sit up in bed. But over time, I got transferred to a rehab facility. In my case, I was still primarily in bed and unable to move very much. But a week or so into rehab, therapy commenced and change began to happen. For some people, there will be a fear of what rehab will involve. However, it's important to remember that rehab is about helping you to get your life back to normal, or your new normal. Becoming an amputee is a life-changing experience for each individual. This doesn't have to mean the end, just a new beginning and a time to learn different and new ways of doing things. Everyone reacts differently to the loss of limbs, but it's normal to feel a wide range of emotions. Your body has experienced a significant change, but it's important to remember that over time, your ability to adapt to these changes will become easier. Along the way, people can sometimes feel anxious, vulnerable, and uncertain about the future. It's completely understandable and normal to feel really strong emotions. Some people might grieve for their loss. You may be feeling scared, angry, frustrated, and even sad. During your recovery, self-care is an important factor, but acknowledging that there are not only a wide range of resources available to you, but there's also a wide range of people who will be there to help. Knowing your support networks, which include family, friends, healthcare providers, and fellow amputees through peer support, give you a range of different people to help you on your journey back to independent living. If you are experiencing depression, anxiety, anger, denial, or grief following your amputation, it's important to speak to a member of your healthcare team or your local doctor. You may like to speak to a trained counsellor to help you deal with your emotions. Your doctor can assist you with a care plan or refer you to a professional. These visits can be subsidised by Medicare. Talk to the people in your life about how you are feeling. Stay connected to your friends, as these will help you to deal with the changes of how your body looks and feels. Following an amputation, individuals are often concerned about their appearance and how this will impact their family and friends and others. As human beings, we all think about how we look and how others see us. Even though your body has changed physically, it's important to remember that you're still the same person inside. Focus on learning new ways to do things you enjoyed before. Friends and family members often go through the process of grief and loss too. It's similar to the person who has lost a limb. It's a major change for everyone. You may find that friends and family members try to do things for you and often have your best intentions at heart. On occasions, this can be frustrating, especially when you're trying to relearn to do new things for yourself. Try not to get angry at those who are too helpful. Explain the situation to them and what you are trying to achieve in a passive tone. Let them know that it's important for you to learn to do the things for yourself, even if it takes a little longer for you to do them. Like anything, it's a process, and you will need friends and family to be supportive. Remember, you don't have to go through this experience alone. Support is available. Make sure you ask for assistance if you need it, whether it's the beginning of your journey, several months later, or years down the track.
Waking up after the amputation, I was in hospital for a month because I had the amputation and one lung operated on for met removal. But I was absolutely fine. I think I was heavily medicated. I was in hospital and it was a breeze for me. It wasn't till I went home that the walls came crashing down, I guess. When I went home and that the realisation hit that I've lost a part of me, I was in mourning. It was like losing a loved one, and I couldn't see the future as being a positive one. Back then, there was no peer support or anything like that. So I really suffered with the prospect of not being able to do the things that I used to do. When I was sent off to rehab, that was daunting for me. And that was when I was in that very dark place. There was no other amps at rehab that I went to. There was a lot of old people, and that really affected me. The psychologist came and saw me, and she wasn't much help at all. But yeah, rehab wasn't great for me. They just wanted me to get up on a leg to be safe, and I was in there. The whole atmosphere there, because it was in a hospital environment, was pretty overwhelming and upsetting for me. And my kids were still 2 and 3 years old, and they needed their mum, and how am I going to cope being a mum to these toddlers? And yeah, it was very overwhelming for me, and I went downhill really fast for quite a few weeks. I was in a very dark place. But then I started getting up and doing something small each day, even if it was just washing a few dishes. And every day I pushed myself to do something with my day, and then I just made me feel better and better each day. Yeah, I'd get up and bake cakes, and that brought me great joy.
Well, the day after waking up after my amputation, I was like, well, that's it. I've got to get on the road to a new recovery. This has got to be a new life. I'd looked up a few things in Google. I'd lost my leg in what was then COVID time, so I wasn't unfortunately able to get visitors or other friends or even people from like a Limbs for Life to come in and talk to me. But I did get on to talking to a Limbs for Life peer support, which I was fortunate enough to get in touch with through the hospital. And that helped me a bit to find out that down the path, things were going to be possible. And with all probability, I would be able to get a prosthetic leg and learn to walk.
I have to admit, I found rehab very daunting because I was only 44. And when I got to the rehab centre, you could tell there was a lot more older people there. And it sort of hit me that, geez, you really did yourself some bad damage here. But being in a rehab with other amputees, you made a lot of friends. I've made some lifetime friends out of that experience because we all have the one same issue. So you sort of lean on other people, and I just sort of learned to live with it through knowing other people. Rehab did a lot of things, prepared me for what life was about to be like. It taught me that I really have to look after myself a bit better than what I had. Learn new skills. They taught me how to learn everyday living, including simple things like cooking and stuff like that. Losing a bit of your limb really makes a difference in your life, really poses a lot of challenges. Rehab gave me the skills to take home and learn to live with my leg being gone. So rehab was probably the most important time of my recovery because they gave me the skills to move forward.
There are a wide range of people available to help support you through the many changes this has in your life. Peers can be a great source of information and support as people who have already been through similar experiences. Peers can provide all sorts of information, from mobility to access to people or what funding may be available, and much more, including being there for support to prevent feelings of isolation. Peers understand the experience of grief and loss that may come with amputation and dealing with getting back to a new normal life. Many experience feelings of helplessness in the early stages and feeling reliant on others as you progress through recovery, which peers can help to give you their own lived experience. Many will experience a range of feelings around body issues and concerns of their appearance. Your emotional health and mental well-being is equally as important as your physical health. If you are having trouble coping with your emotions, there are a number of areas of support that you can tap into, including getting involved with a peer support program. Peer volunteers understand how you're feeling and they can help you to adjust to changes in your day-to-day life. Join a social group. Amputee support groups provide friendly and comfortable environments to share experiences with one another. If you don't wish to meet with a peer face-to-face, take part in an online discussion group. Online groups can provide connection to the wider community. Limbs for Life are creating these series of videos that cover a broad range of topics that help amputees through their journey. In a nutshell, we want to break down the barriers to amputation so that you can make educated and informed decisions and live the best life that you can. So click on one of these videos to watch more.